Today we're going to look at the Doona X, an updated version of a unique piece of baby gear, a car seat that transforms into a simplistic stroller that we've covered before but wanted to revisit, both because the X version has new features that make it a little more appealing, and also as a result of a plethora of additional feedback about the Doona that we've gotten since our initial review. So let's get started then, looking the model over from top to bottom and examining its advantages and disadvantages in terms of child comfort, ease of use, performance, and mechanics, before ending with a discussion of which uses and lifestyles it may suit, as well as whether we feel it's worth its price. And starting off with some stats, the Doona X clocks in at 8.3 kilos, and when folded into car seat mode, measures 44 by 72.5 by 45.5 centimeters, which is a bit on the large side in comparison both to other car seats, due to the wheelbase, as well as to most ultra compacts, though in this case it's worth noting that the Doona at least won't be competing for trunk space. As far as weight capacity is concerned, the Doona X can take children up to 13 kilos or 85 centimeters in height, which is roughly around the age of 1.5 given a standard growth rate. When it comes to child comfort, the Doona X's seat is adjustable across 3 positions, between a semi-upright upright setting and a 159-degree near-flat recline. That on the positive side means you can be out and about with a newborn beyond the 2-hour limit normally set for car seats, though negatively, the upright position isn't quite upright enough for some children over 6 months old eager to sit up a bit more vertically. As far as seat size goes, once you've removed the newborn insert, the inside dimensions are nicely sized for an infant car seat, with a width of 22 centimeters, a length for the baseboard of 27, and a height for the backboard of 51. Where 2 additional potentially useful measurements are that, when fully raised up, there's 34 centimeters of distance from the underside of the shoulder straps to the baseboard, and the central buckle is positioned 13 centimeters from the backboard. When it comes to other aspects of the seat, the textiles, padding, and harness are what you'd expect from a premium car seat, with the insert having a bit thicker than average sidewalls, which is a component of side impact protection, and the model also having more ventilation than a lot of other car seats due to perforated sections in the back and baseboards beneath the textiles. The canopy provides okay sun coverage when the seat is upright, though when reclined, it's a little short in my opinion, and it might be useful to get an additional opaque netting when using the model. Moving on to parent comfort, the Doona X has a fixed handle height of 101 centimeters, which is a tad shorter than the average ultra compact, but higher than on the basic Doona Plus version, and doesn't come stock with a shopping basket. One is available for extra purchase, though note that you do need to remove it whenever converting back to car seat mode. As far as folding and unfolding goes, the process is easy once you get used to it, with a few steps needed to adjust the handle across its varying positions, first to lift the seat and then into pushing mode after dropping the wheels. With regards to carrying the Doona X, though the basic concept of how one would normally use the model limits the number of situations where one needs to lift it, it's worth noting that 8.3 kilos plus the weight of your baby is heavy, and taking it in and out of the car or carrying it when negotiating stairs can be hard for some people. As far as how the Doona X feels to use as a stroller, it's perfectly fine for its intended use of popping into stores, in and out of taxis, or maybe as a travel solution to smoother destinations. Though that being said, despite the upgrades of front wheel suspension and raised ridges on the tires, it's still pretty horrible to drive over anything beyond smooth pavement in my opinion, where it feels quite jittery and is prone to get hung up on obstacles. Factors that are exacerbated by a handle that's quite loose right out of the box, a lack of swivel locks, and the model's central, heavier than average car seat weight, as opposed to the more dispersed weight of a regular stroller. When it comes to use as a car seat, I'd note that the Doona X can't recline in car seat mode for safety reasons, unfortunately, that the handle is meant to double as an anti-rebound bar, and also that it can be secured with either seat belts or using the base, where the model is also I-size compliant. Alright, shifting over to the mechanics of the Doona X, it's important to note from the outset that this is primarily a car seat that transforms into a stroller, not the other way around, and the majority of design focus and weight of components has been put into the car seat side of the equation, as it must be to meet the much stricter safety requirements demanded of car seats. And as a result, the fact that the Doona X is compliant with Europe's relatively stringent R129 certification means, in my opinion, that one can trust the model's safety characteristics as a car seat, such as the strength of the shell and side impact protection elements, as well as have added confidence in those mechanisms relevant to the Doona X's car seat safety that are also important in stroller mode, such as the recline mechanism, since this has to do with the integrity of the seat, as well as the handle, since it doubles as an anti-rebound bar. As far as additional elements are concerned when in stroller mode, there's nothing that seems particularly weak with the larger build of the chassis, where the handle extension mechanisms are quite simple. There have been few reports of issues with the mechanism for releasing the wheels, and where the model has decent cross support both on the front and back frames. Moving down to the lowest areas, there are unfortunately a few more weaknesses though, where, starting with the back frame, there's no suspension, and the brake system has been altered from the basic Duna Plus, with on the positive side, there being only one pedal now and a less exposed brake wire, but on the negative, the receiving holes for the brake pins on the insides of the wheels being thinner, which may lead to the walls breaking over time. The rear wheels are removable on the Doona X, which is good for replacement or lubrication, though they sit a bit loose in their housings, while the tires have been shifted from the Duna Plus version and feel more durable, as well as having a raised ridge at the apex, which is positive both for slowing wear and making steering a little lighter. Looking lastly at the front frame, there's again those improved tires, as well as a little bit of suspension built into the front forks, which is nice, though rear frame suspension would have been better. There are no swivel locks on the model, which are unnecessary for driving in smooth environments, though I would note that the front wheels sit quite loose in their housings, as well as the wheels themselves within the forks, which again is not a problem if you're sticking to smooth areas, but any sort of use beyond this, such as strolling for longer periods along not always even sidewalks, for example, will feel quite rattly and rickety and may well lead to wobbling problems down the road. So, should you get the Doona X then? This is a very specialized piece of baby gear in my opinion, where parents who drive all the time and who want to use it in addition to a regular stroller for easier shopping or popping into doctor's offices and the like, have long shouted its benefits. In addition, I've also had positive feedback from parents who take a lot of taxis, and even from a few people who claim that it's great for air travel, though I assume this must be only for smoother destinations. All that being said, however, for situations beyond these, I do feel that there are a lot of negatives versus just using an ultra-compact with an attached car seat, in that the Doona X is relatively expensive, it's pretty heavy, and it's quite limited both in terms of where and how it can be used, as a result of its poor terrain capability, lack of storage, and not having an upright enough seat for babies past a certain age, as well as more importantly, the length of its use period, which is generally not for more than a bit over a year or so. In any case, we hope you found this video interesting, and if you did, we ask that you subscribe, as it helps us to continue making videos in the future. In addition, if you're currently shopping for a stroller, we have a buyer's guide on our Patreon page which lists a wide range of models that we recommend, with a lot of technical and lifestyle related information. You can find it by following the link in the description. Thank you.